joining me. This commentary is pertaining to Sebastian Rogers. New information has come out about a connection to the state of Oregon, New York, and near the Canadian border. Please excuse the back. His investigation team believe they have valid information. I did a little digging earlier, listened to some content from one of the fans. Oh, Lordy. Someone's network talking about a woman out west who met some people at a pond, Ford's Pond in Oregon. Here is a picture of Ford's Pond, one of the pictures. And she talked to the couple, two different couples, one older, one younger looking, I guess. And she didn't recognize these people from their brief conversation. But later down the road in the month of June, she recognized the couple as being the Proudfoots, allegedly. So she allegedly contacted authorities. And allegedly the authorities went out to the pond, something about remains or could be animal. Don't really know the logistics because I wasn't there. I don't know. This is just something I picked up on someone else's network of information that they received. But she recognized, I guess, the Proudfoots as the couple there, which would have been March of this year, 2024. So some would probably question, if this woman is telling the truth, why would they be out there shortly after reporting their son missing? Why would you be way out in the state of Oregon for what? Did Mr. Proudfoot have to work out there? They want to go on vacation? And once again, people will question, if it's true, why would you be going way across the country anywhere when your son is missing? Many would find that strange. So is this woman's account truthful and factual, that indeed who she saw that day at this pond park sitting on a bench was Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot? Who was the other couple? She said that couple said they were from Washington State. Is that true? Could it be that they were entities related to Katie and her husband? I don't know. I don't know what to believe. But I'm going to play content from someone's channel. I will give you their name, for copyright reasons. And this person will give their opinion about their brief interaction with the Proudfoots a few months ago, and we will chop all this up. I think it's all baffling, and it's sad, and that's why I'm going to play this person's commentary, because some things that this man has said in his commentary on his channel is what I've already said in my content last night, 2 lives I did yesterday, how out of control this case has gotten, and you don't know what to believe because people will lie and manipulate. People will be self-serving in true crime cases, make up things, fabricate things. People will do things for attention. And one thing he said in his commentary that I had already said yesterday, so please check out my lives from yesterday, that many people who feel like they care about Sebastian and other missing children as well, they do not, okay? They say they care. YouTubers, bloggers, people in the chat, people commenting, but most of you really don't care about Sebastian. It's just something to do to pass time. And this man has made some great points in his live stream that a lot of people are just in it for attention. And a lot of people don't realize, or they do realize, that they're doing more harm. And him being a detective, he can speak on that because he's been in the field. It has been said from law enforcement in general in these cases that it's a disruption, social media and all the gossip and the he said and the she said, the speculations, but that's what we do as humans. We will judge, some humans will judge a situation. You don't know what's the truth. If people are being truthful, factual, it's just the way it is. But before we get into that content, let's take a look in the state of Oregon. Thank you for joining me. Friends of Ford's Pond. Sutherland, Oregon. Ford's Pond Community Park, a place for community and beyond. Located in southwestern Oregon, the 202-acre Ford's Pond Community Park is home to the 95-acre Ford's Pond. Most of the park is being conserved as open space Primarily on the west hillside, visitors can assess the pond and hillside trails via the 2-mile paved pond loop path. The southeast corner features an inclusive playground designed for all ages and abilities. Were the Proudfoots at this pond in March of 2024? There is the playground. Very nice backdrop. Very pretty. Very serene looking. Give you a better view there. The Church Road Playground, designed for all ages and abilities, features a younger play pond area with a water feature, climbing dock, beaver lodge, and multi-generational activities, including ping pong, musical instruments, a carousel, and slides. 3 covered picnic shelters and restrooms are available year-round. Sounds nice. Pond loop path. The shared pond loop path is paved except for a portion that is a boardwalk. Starting from the Church Road parking area, the loop is 2 miles. Distances can be deceiving. Carry water during warmer months. A bottle filling station is outside the Church Road restrooms. Information on the interpretive panels along the path can be found here. Sitting area. Bird Viewing Plaza. The plaza honors the memory of Anna Turco and William Slimmer and realizes Anna's vision of a place to learn about the birds and nature in Douglas County. The plaza has room for tripods and small lectures. The benches are oriented for viewing the west side of the Ford's Pond and the adjacent wetlands. Once again, were the Proudfoots at this location March 2024? And have they been at this place beforehand? Anytime during their marriage, relationship, or before with other parties, before even another? We ask all the questions. Primitive hillside trails. So now we hear that they have walking trails. The paths are mowed and offer hiking, mountain biking access to the west hillside. The Meadowlark Loop, 0.7 miles, offers a unique perspective of the pond from the southwest corner. The Rosa Ridge Loop, 0.9 miles, offers views of nearby mountains and valleys from under the oak canopy. So there in the distance, you have the view of the pond. I'd like to know if it's man-made or it's an original earth pond, because some ponds are man-made where they just fill in the water. So is this a man-made pond or a pond made by nature herself? Boating, fishing. Self-propelled watercraft and electric motors under 5 miles per hour are allowed on Ford's Pond. Enjoy fishing for crappie, bluegill, perch, largemouth bass with a state license. Check with ODFW for current fishing regulations. Please remove all fishing line from the property. Protect our wildlife. Access is easiest from the highway, 138 West parking area. That is what was mentioned in the content I listened to earlier, that the woman went there to fish. So how interesting, we see a guy in a fishing boat fishing. Transforming lives rather. Ford's Pond. Many studies have shown that having a nearby park to exercise and enjoy the outdoors can improve physical and emotional health. Roger and Julie Cox kindly shared their story with appreciation to Big Wrench Media and the Ford Family Foundation. So obviously this pond was generated by a family, I guess whoever the Ford family these people are. And you're welcome to visit this place in Oregon if you're ever out there living, passing through, or just want somewhere to go and vacation. That is the number to call for park-related questions and concern, the City Hall phone number. Spend time exploring the 3 habitats found at Ford's Pond Community Park: wetlands, willow ash riparian, and oak savanna. Discover the unique flora and fauna found in each, noting the changes through each season. Located on the Pacific Flyway, Ford's Pond is a stopover for many birds migrating between summer and winter destinations. Visit the Friends page for information on educational activities, stewardship projects. Even interpretive panels featuring local photographers who will be located along the 2-mile pond loop path to be completed August 2024. So obviously it was under some type of renovation, and now it's complete, I'm assuming. I don't know. I don't live out there to actually know. So we'll just assume it's completed. If not, it's on its way. Willow ash riparian. Oak savanna. Nonprofit Association of Oregon, eco-friendly. Where are the Proudfoots at this place? Did this lady get it right? Who she thinks she talked to this fateful day at Ford's Pond? Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot, were you here back in March of 2024? Did you have a conversation with this elderly lady or lady? Don't know her age or whatever, but whoever she is. It's a community park, Sutherland, Oregon. All this is bizarre. As I said before, is this a hoax in my content yesterday? Because we've been down this road of pants, eyeglasses, AI-generated photo of a young boy in North Carolina, people running around pretending they're searching for him on the ground, live streaming, riding down the road, riding in circles, riding around Hendersonville, riding around the neighborhood. Everybody's wanting to talk to these people, get involved, PIs, spokespeople. It's just been a lot going on. As I had said before, too many irons in the fire. That's why there's so much chaos, because the people involved are chaotic. Not to offend you, but let's just keep it real. You all are chaotic. You all were chaotic with this child. And then you're out here trying to find people to help you, allegedly. And then those people, they're coming in, they're chaotic. They're wayward. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know they don't know, SHIT from Shinola. Because that's what people don't seem to understand, is that chaos breeds chaos. And nothing good can really come from this story, only because I think something bad happened. So what good can come out of it if originally it started bad? Too many irons in the fire. Everybody's got their hand in the pot. Everybody's wanting to be seen, noticed, attention. And that's really all social media is about, is it not? Whether you're talking about true crime or not. Look at me. I got a story to tell. I got something I want to share with you. I want to vent. I know what happened. I wasn't there, but I know what happened. What happened to this child? Where is he? Is he alive? Is he deceased? Is this information credible pertaining to these people, this woman, couple, these 2 sets of couples, 2 separate people, one gray-haired, older, and then the other couple is assumingly the Proudfoots? Did this woman see Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot March of 2024 at Ford's Pond in Oregon? What is the information pertaining to the Canadian border and New York? Because there's no way this child could have been all over these different locations. Because New York is on the eastern seaboard, Oregon is on the western. They're not near one another. So make it make sense. So is it possible that the parents have been circling the globe? Well, naturally, I'm not going to sit here and believe they took a deceased body from one end of the country to the other. That wouldn't make any sense. Have people travel with a deceased body in their possession? Of course. But what did I say? You have to have proof. You also have to say, if we're going to believe these people were traveling with a deceased body, if that's where this information is going, they'd have to have a phone. Naturally, they wouldn't want to use their own phones as not to be tracked later down the road by law officials when being investigated. So that means they would have to about burner phones. What is the information pertaining to New York? What is the relevance? Does it have something to do with the Proudfoots? Somebody that knows them? Make it make sense, because it can't be both. It can't be both New York and Oregon. I don't know if I agree with all that. Let's hear from this detective. Thank you for joining me. Let's get down to business. Where is this case going? I have no earthly idea, but it's a hot mess. It's a hot butter mess. Excuse the background noise. This neighbor with this dog, it's like, Jesus Christ. Take it to the trainer, train your animals. So I said a lot of people have no business with pets. That seems to be the new thing. People don't need pets, people don't need children. They don't know what to do with either one.
The stuff that's happening currently, like I think the name Karen Reed maybe comes to mind because people have emailed me some things. Delphi interests me because of the motive. And in Idaho, that interested me as well. But for the most part, I don't get caught up in all of it, and there's good reason. So this Sebastian Rogers case is the perfect example. So I was reached out to by a gentleman, I believe his name is Chris Proudfoot, who I believe is the stepfather of Sebastian Rogers, who was a 15-year-old male who went missing February 26th of this year. And he has a high functioning level of autism from what I understand. Chris reached out to me and he wanted my help. I didn't know anything about the case. He didn't mention the name. He just stated that he had heard about me and wanted to know if I could help. Certainly, absolutely. What do you need from me? And that's always my standard answer to family who have reached out to me in missing persons or unsolved homicide cases. We shared a few emails. I asked him where he was located at, so that way I knew whether I was in driving distance, whether I could go speak with him, help the family out, whatever I could do. He had said Tennessee. I said, yeah, that's doable, but let's talk. What is the name of your loved one, your missing child, so on and so forth? And he gave me the name Sebastian Rogers, explained his relationship. And then I got a few emails from Sebastian's mother, or I believe her name was Katie. Same type of emails, can you help us? I said, let's jump on a phone, or maybe Katie said, let's jump on a phone call. And we did, okay? But before we did that, when I approach a case, I want to be as non-biased as possible. I don't look at media accounts. I don't want to sit down and watch Dateline. I don't want to read much about the case other than I want to hear it from the people and the police. That's it. And then, eventually I'll spread out. I typed in this kid's name and some Twitter feeds came up. It was shocking. That's the best word I can use. Another word I want to use, but I feel is a little strong, but is disgusted. I was disgusted.
Join the crew.
At the banter the back and forth I was reading. So I quickly exited my search. I said, I'm not getting into reading all that. I just want facts, right?
So was he disgusted with the banter in between people talking about the case, or was it he saw something with the parents talking? I would probably assume all of the above. Because sadly, this case, as I had discussed in my live streams earlier, that this case is like the other cases that make it to social media. It's playing out in social media, which it should not be, especially with the people involved. Now, it's one thing for people who don't know any of these parents, relatives to talk and gossip and make up stuff. Nobody has control over that. But the people in the story shouldn't be bantering with people in the comment section or other relatives, friends, associates, because it's a bad look. And I'm sure this man was disgusted. So as you see, he wanted to talk to the family members first, law enforcement, and then branch out to the he said and the she said, and that's where Twitter, social media, and all that comes in. Yeah, it's a very bad look. And sadly, it's still ongoing. All these months later, nothing has changed. Pathetically, sadly, nothing has changed.
Chris and Katie, Sebastian's mother and stepfather. And I spoke with them for about an hour. When I do an initial introduction like that, there's a couple things that has to take place. One, I want them to know where I'm coming from. Hey, if you want me to help, this is what you can expect. I can't give you miracles, and I can't promise an outcome. But what I can do is promise you my best. And that's the only way that I know how to work, is to give it my all, 100%. Which means I will travel to Tennessee. I will, I'll help. But this is what needs to take place. I did a brief cursory look online, and I see all these people. There's some people that are in Tennessee with you right now that are helping you. To me, there needs to be one person in charge. And it's not an ego thing. It's because when you have all these tentacles being involved and going off in a million different ways, it only creates chaos. So, if you want me to be involved, I'm just saying, and even if you don't want me involved, this is what you need to do. You hire or you get one detective who's in charge, and everybody else that helps and wants to help, they have to work under him. Now, it's not like a boss thing. It's like, hey, we're going to go search this area, okay? That way this one person can map it out, know all the information, and you don't have 100 different people muddying the waters. That's what I recommended to them.
Let me interject here. The content you're listening to is Unsolved No More. Feel free to check out his channel. Number one, why did Mr. Proudfoot reach out to this man? For what reason? You and your wife have been awfully silent on YouTube, which has been a welcome relief. I'm just curious to why you reached out to this man. Due to the fact that you all don't talk about the child on social media, you're not on any type of programs or radio shows or going to schools talking about the child. You're not in the community talking about the child that I know of. So why would you reach out to this detective? Obviously, you're on YouTube scouring videos, being a busybody as you all have been before, and you stumbled across this man's channel, detective, who's worked in the law enforcement arena. He's also been on, true crime shows. Feel free to read the bio on him on his channel, Unsolved No More. That's how you found him. Looking up on what? YouTube board, or somebody said, hey, here's a guy, he's a detective. Go give him a call. So they emailed one another and they started talking. And now he's telling you what he feels like they need to do in order to get a hold of the situation pertaining to the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, which to me is a joke, but nonetheless, he's had enlightened these people on what they should do, that they only needed one head knocker, not 5, not 6, not 7, but only one person to steer the ship.
Everything seemed, listen,
shut the fuck
my
up.
impressions were the mom, when she spoke with me, she was very emotional. Depressed would be a good word. You could just tell her voice. One of the things that she said to me that stood out after a long period of silence, after we said something and I was waiting for a response and I wasn't getting anything, and I just waited, and it seemed like an eternity, but I'm sure it was only a minute or two. She said, "I just want my son back."
So pause so long, Katie Proudfoot. Was she thinking what to say? Does she feel remorse? Let's say these two harmed a child, or one of them harmed a child, she or her husband. Do you now have remorse? Guilt? But see, that would be cruel to invite this man on to help. If indeed you are the culprit behind the disappearance of your own son, you're sending basically this man on a wild goose chase. And that's what I was thinking the entire time while he's spinning this web here on YouTube.
And there's always certain things that strike you. And during that conversation, that was one of them. Now, I'm not saying guilt. I'm not saying innocence. I'm not saying any of that like some of other people have done. That's just not me. We finished our conversation, and we, as a collective, weren't sure whether we were going to make this unity happen. They certainly wanted to think about things, and I certainly had some trepidation myself based off of nothing that they said to me. Well, maybe a little bit of something that they said to me, the help that they were getting.
What does that mean exactly, sir? The help that they were getting. They weren't happy with the help they were getting? Did you feel like they were really in tune to trying to find their son? Because you have said in this commentary, just because a person cries or acts like they're concerned doesn't mean that they're not guilty. And that's very true, because we've seen this 1,000 times in true crime stories over the years. People will reach out to people for help in searching, help in getting private investigators. Even people incarcerated will reach out to the Innocence Project for them to take on their case when they know damn well they committed the crime. They access the DNA, it comes back, the person is guilty. Well, they were guilty, that's why they were found guilty in a court of law, and that's why they're incarcerated in prison. But it's cruel to send people out here on a wild goose chase and paper chasing and chasing lab work and different entities to get to the bottom of something that was already resolved in the court of law. It's all the same. The game is the same, you see. And that's what would be cruel, to reach out to this man when you know what happened to the child. You're involved in the disappearance of the child and you're using this man. Why? As I said, if the people are involved, why would you reach out to this man? Why not just lay silent? As I said in my content yesterday, sometimes it's best to just move silently. Whether you're guilty or innocent, just be quiet.
And mention a specific agency or a person who had been down there and helping out, and would I have a problem working with these people? Listen, I don't have a problem working with anybody, okay, as long as it's a coordinated effort. But then after our conversation, I got back online and I said, let me see what I'm dealing with here. And all of a sudden, Dog the Bounty Hunter started coming up. This other agency that's filing motions against this people. And then you have the biological father of Sebastian fighting these people and then hiring an attorney and an investigator. And everything was being fought online. Like I saw Twitter, which, listen, for everybody that loves social media because it makes them feel a certain way and they feel relevant or whatever it is, if it's just for communication, sharing, whatever, more power to you. I just don't operate my life through Twitter, and I certainly don't operate investigations through Twitter or
Amen.
other social media platforms.
Amen.
The amount of online fighting and debating that was happening, and I'm not just talking from like amateur standpoint, like people, true crime people who have interest, but I'm talking like supposed professionals.
So who are these professionals he's speaking of? Because I am quite curious to who he's speaking of. The professionals. Are you talking about people that's on the TV shows such as Court TV, Nancy Grace, retired detectives, current detectives, cops? Are those the people you're speaking of? Bickering back and forth pertaining to the information? Well, they're just doing what everybody else is doing, talking and yapping. Because that's what we do best. But I understand what he's saying. He doesn't do business by social media. He doesn't run his business by social media. But a lot of people do. A lot of people, as I just said yesterday, please check out my video. Because everything I said in my video is basically what he's saying here in his own video. You have to know how to move silently. You have to know how to be quiet. You have to know when to say, I'm not going to tell anybody what I'm doing, where I'm going. Such as the searches with Seth Rogers. You got to know when to say, I'm going to be quiet. I've talked enough. I don't need to let anybody know where I'm going, who I've hired. You got to know how to move silently. When you see that the devil is at the door, why are you letting him in? Because basically that's all you're doing. You're telling the devil when you get up, when you're going to bed. All the threats, as he's saying here, the bickering, the bantering with random strangers, professional people, the parents, none of this should be playing out on social media pertaining to the disappearance of a child. There's thought of the child, you see, because you all are ego-driven at this point. And perhaps you were ego-driven in the first place. That's why the child's not here. And now they're ego-driven. So everybody's selling themselves to some degree in this Sebastian story. Everybody's in it for something, but you're not in it for the kid. People will complain about what you're selling on your network, t-shirts, coffee mugs, and all that. I tell you, it's a hustle. YouTube is a hustle. As I say, if you don't like it, check out. Don't participate. There comes a point when you have to disengage. This is why law enforcement don't want to hear your psychobabble, crystal ball readings, what you heard on somebody's channel that has nothing to do with the kid. So this stuff about this place here, Ford's Pond, New York, is it relevant? Because what if we said it's not? What if we said that woman talked to some other woman who had red hair, brown hair, but it wasn't Katie Proudfoot or Mr. Proudfoot or any Bauer Soxes or anybody related to the Proudfoots? Because they'd have to be fools to be out in public talking to people knowing they had a whole kid missing. But we do have stupid people because stupid people do stupid things. But as I said, make it make sense. They're traveling way out there to the Pacific Northwest to do what exactly 1 month after their child goes missing? They're visiting, they're getting away, or they took a body out there and dumped it. It's a long way to carry a body, I'm just saying. If that's where the information is supposed to be going, I don't know.
I don't think I ever will understand it. It just made me sick that these professionals were, I can't say that they don't have the best interest of Sebastian because I don't know them personally. And I always like to refrain from judgment until I met a person eye to eye and shake their hand and, get a good 15, 20 minutes of conversation with them.
Who was he speaking of?
You can't do that over social media. But I do believe that social media or online presence will give you a glimpse into somebody's personality. And I did not like what I saw in this whole Sebastian Rogers case. Maybe I'm old school, but it's just not the way an investigation should go. It makes it so much harder, not only on investigators, but family members, that are involved. They have to totally shut off what's going on in social media, I believe, in order to have some sanity about them. That's why I took social media off of my phone, and I have it because it is beneficial for me when I receive information. People look it up, send me stuff. There are benefits to it if used properly, and I'm not going to get into the whole social media etiquette. And if it's for you, it's for you. I don't care. I just don't like that a true case or a true crime case, especially with a missing person, is being hashed out between two sides online and fighting. It's the norm now. I understand that. I will never, ever be a part of that.
I totally agree with this gentleman here. This should not be playing out on social media between the parents, arguing, bickering, mudslinging, talking. You had his mother. She had things to say on Facebook months ago. Seth's mother, Mr. Proudfoot, I'm sure he was bickering and talking back to people in chats and conversations on Facebook. And I've seen this play out before in true crime cases where the people were actually guilty. The man who killed his girlfriend out in Texas years ago, and they found her body dumped out on the side of the road. He was doing the same thing. Bickering and arguing with random strangers on Facebook about his girlfriend, wife missing or whatever, when all along he was the one that killed her. So it didn't make any sense. You're sitting here bickering with people about what they think of you, and they think you're guilty, and then later on, you end up going to Florida, moving, while the case was still unsolved. And then when the police came with a warrant, he shot himself down in Florida. But this is what crazy people do. They bicker back and forth, and it's ridiculous. And as this man is saying, the detective, he's never seen anything like this. He's not used to this. He's old school, and I agree with him because I do agree that some things we don't need to be talking about on social media. It's easy to vent. That's really all social media is. It's just a place to vent. A place to vent, to hurt people, to throw mud, to sling, to cuss, to fuss, to holler. But what's the end result? Because you have to know at some point there's going to be probably some retribution from bitching and moaning. And naturally, detectives, FBI agents, they don't have any control over people talking on social media. They don't have any control over the parents, family members talking. They usually advise you, law enforcement, don't speak to the media. Be careful what you say. Be careful, talking to random strangers. These are things that they would tell you before we even had social media. Be careful talking, to the newspapers, this and that, because there were some dirty birds that would, twist your words around. But that's common sense. You have to be careful talking in general. People will only show one side of a conversation, delete what somebody else said, delete their portion of the conversation. They only show you what was said that they want you to see. But this case, yes, should not be on social media. The parents should have never came to social media. Just going to call a spade a spade. What good has come from it? Yes, the child's name is out there, but what good has come from it? I don't see that really anything good has come. One, the child is still missing. And all you have now are people running into court suing one another. And you're going to hear him talk about that. I'm not going to play all of the content. You can go ahead and, watch it for yourself, listen to it for yourself. But that's one thing he talks about. It's being disgusted with this case, questioning why it's playing out, questioning why people are involved in the case that don't have no business. Why? Because in the end, investigators don't have to listen to none of this rhetoric. They probably listen to snippets, but they can't stay on social media all day and they're investigating a crime or possible crime, let's say.
For me, and this is just my humble opinion, to do a proper investigation, you need to annex yourself completely away from that. Put blinders on from the noise and stay focused at the task, and that's finding the child.
Amen.
Now, the reality of things to me is that more than likely that child is dead.
Wow.
Now, if the parents are watching this.
Did you hear that? He said more than likely the child is dead. That's his opinion. This is a detective speaking. Is the child deceased? Wow, wow, wow.
That's a hard realization, and I'm sorry that I have to say that. That's just my opinion based on statistics. There is still hope. Hope can be a beautiful thing, okay? But that's where the focus has to be. It can't be on injunctions. It can't be on lawsuits. That's ludicrous. From people that aren't even involved in the case. They think they're involved because they insert themselves into the case. So now listen, some of it, like I said, they do things for the right purpose. But there are some that are doing it just for the publicity.
Exactly. Thank you. Well said.
Every single little thing. Okay, Sebastian Rogers, I went and checked this sewage ditch, and then you post it.
Say it.
Post it. Every little step you post it. And you say, well, I'm doing that to keep people updated. No, you're not.
Come on.
You're not. You're doing it so people will follow you and click and all that stupid shit that is completely irrelevant to the case.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
It's sad.
Say it again.
Publicity. Every single little thing. Okay, Sebastian Rogers, I went and checked this sewage ditch, and then you post it. Every little step you post it. And you say, well, I'm doing that to keep people updated. No, you're not.
Right.
No, you're not.
Right.
You're doing it so people will follow you and click and all that stupid shit that is completely irrelevant to the case. It's sad.
Yes, it is.
I agreed. I said, hey, I will help you with this case, Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot. I will help because I could hear. Well, listen. Just because you hear depression, sadness, all those things coming from the other end of a telephone, doesn't mean they're not involved.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that they're sad because of the situation that the son is no longer there. It could be remorse. Could be a lot of things. I'm not saying that she's involved with anything, but I'm just saying you can't make a snap judgment.
You can't make a snap judgment. Some of us have done that. We have made snap judgments, have we not? Could it be that the woman that he was listening to, Miss Proudfoot, has what they call buyer's remorse reversed? She's She has remorse, regrets for what she has done. If indeed she has harmed her child. Hello, Jage. She feels sick, she's hurt, she's upset. Or what is it an act? Because we have seen people perform, have we not? Lord have mercy. Those interrogation tapes could make a grown man cry. When you go back in time and you look at these people talk and put on for the detectives, I was watching some content last night of them approaching a black man at his house and approaching the wife. And all along, they knew why they were there, but they played the role up until the very end. No, I don't know anything about what you're talking about. No, I ain't seen her. No, I ain't talked to her. Knowing they had killed the whole family, lust led them down this path of murdering a family. The husband was having an affair. But you can best believe when the detectives show up to the house to talk to people, they know exactly why they are there. And they're going to put on. Because they feel like, well, I don't really know what she's got on me. But I ain't going to throw in the towel just yet. Let me hear what they got. So they go through this long barrage of questions. When did you last talk to the victim? Where did you send them? Did you send them messages? What did you say? We pulled up your conversations through text. We need your phone. We got to dump your phone. The black man didn't want them to dump the phone. He didn't want them to dump the phone because he said, well, there's some stuff I really want you to see. And they're like, oh, well, we ain't worried about other stuff. We just need to hear your conversations. He knew at that moment why they were there. But he ain't going to let up. Okay, you got me. Hell yeah, I killed my lover, her husband, her 2 kids. Yeah, my wife, she's in cahoots. They lied up until the very end. That's the point. So Katie Proudfoot sniffling and snuffling and pausing on the phone probably don't really mean much to a lot of people just because of their behavior here on YouTube. What do I care? They've shown no care for the child. So her sniffling to you, I don't give a damn. And even if she didn't hurt her kid, her or her husband, some people still just don't care. Because we can only go by how you act right now. And if you act right now like you don't care, whether you hurt the boy or not, you still showing you don't got nothing in you, which leads us to believe you hurt the kid. Because you lead by example. You lead by example.
Based off of a voice on a telephone call or even face to face. I mean, you'll get certain feelings one way or another. I mean, the only feeling that I can take from that is that she is grieving. Why she is grieving, because of all the pressure, all the social media stuff, all the stupid attacks that are being thrown at her, or because she feels guilty about something, she didn't check on him, certain things, okay? You don't know. But she certainly was grieving. The stepfather, on the other hand, my impressions of him, I mean, based off a 1-hour phone call and several emails, it's very hard, but I mean, you got to give him some credit. He reached out. And I know I'm not.
Christopher Proudfoot reached out to this detective. Why? Why would you reach out to this man? What was the motivation? And as this man is saying, I couldn't get a reading just from talking on the phone, emails. That's why it's best to meet people in person. He says that. I want to meet you eye to eye. I want to look at you, see what you have to say, see what you're talking about. Exactly. I always say video chat is king. Video chat with the people, get a feeling of how they act, how they, their movements. Talking to people on the phone is not good enough if you can't see eye contact. That's why I say texting is bad. Some of you are avid texters. Texting is dangerous because you can't see emotion with a text. I want to see you talk. I want to see you when you pause, when you sigh. And then people break up their sentences, so sometimes you don't even understand what the hell they're texting. And I tell anybody, don't text me shit. Excuse my language. I don't like texting. Because when I get heated and upset, I want you to hear the rage. You understand? I want you to hear what the hell Queen is saying. Won't do no damn texting. Trying to, any of my arthritis texting you and you a fool too? Hell no. Lend me your ear. Let me get to my point across. But all in all, it probably won't even matter if you're talking directly, by phone, video chat, in person. Because if a person don't care, the message is not going to reach them anyway, if you understand what I'm saying.
The only person he must have reached out to. But I would say that if I started that, and this is what I told the family, I would come to Tennessee, I would come to their house, you have to take video of everything there in the house, the layouts. And it isn't necessarily for right now. It's for down the road. If, God forbid, the case doesn't get solved, which a lot of missing persons doesn't. You have that for future reference. So you can look at after the house is changed, demolished, renovated, whatever it is. Get a statement, okay? And I did that. Tell me right now in this phone call what happened that night the last time you saw Sebastian. And the mother had told me, you know, stuff about him going up to bed, her hearing a loud bang up in the room, in his room, but then she asked him if he was okay. He said yes. And I made sure to annotate that because you don't want to rely on your memory, you know, 6 months down the road when the child's found and all of a sudden you have to remember, okay, whoa. She went down to the police station and now she's giving this account. Wait, she told me this, didn't she? Well, I have it annotated. So that way I know. And if law enforcement, what did they tell you? This is what I would say. And it's not for publicity. It's for the case. It's for the family and it's for Sebastian. That's how it has to be done. You have to have one alpha dog in charge that takes charge. Hey, this is the way things are going to be. This is how we're going to run things.
Well, the question people are going to ask you, sir, do you believe what they said to you in your short conversations with Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot? What is your take on what was said to you by the Proudfoots? Do you believe they don't have anything to do with the disappearance of the child? You mentioned in this commentary the house needed to be checked thoroughly, which we all agree with that. Many people are still bitching and moaning about them being re-evaluated, re-talked to. I'm assuming if the police, sheriff want to talk to the Proudfoots or Seth, they know where to find them. Have they talked to them more than once, twice? Probably so, but they don't have to tell us that. That's the one thing people need to understand about moaning and bitching so much. They need to go back in. They need to talk to them again. Who's to say they haven't? They're not going to tell you that anyway. These people do not want to keep telling you when the detectives and the FBI or TBI came talking. Oh, yeah, they called me again on Thursday. Yeah, they called me again on Saturday. They don't want you to know that. And everybody keeps going on and on about that. Oh, they need to bring them back in. They need to talk to them again. They need to do this. They didn't use this in the house. They didn't use infrared. They didn't use luminol, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just go on and on and on. You don't know what the hell TBI and the sheriff have done. You're not there. So you can't say what somebody's done and ain't done. You're just assuming stuff because you're listening to gossip. Who knows who? Who's connected? I've said this 1,000 times. And it doesn't even need to keep being repeated. TBI, FBI don't give a fuck about the Proudfoots or Seth, who they are, who they know, where they work. They have nothing invested to care. What is it that people don't understand about that? That's why people don't want TBI and FBI to investigate crimes. For that very reason. If there's a cover-up, if there's bias, they know they're going to see right through it. So they're the last people you want investigating a crime if there's some hanky-panky going on. So that's why I always tell people, stop beating a dead horse. about the Proudfoots and who they know and who they're related to. I've heard it so much it makes my head spin. I don't even know why people keep repeating it. Nobody cares. Those people that live in Hendersonville, you think they give two fucks about who the Proudfoots are, who they know, who they're friends with in the sheriff's department? No, they don't care. They may not want to go on record and say it, but they don't care. And in the end, that's not going to save them. You got one or two hillbillies that you think are on your team. They can't save you. You think what? They're going to go hide the evidence that's found, throw it away in the garbage bin? Oh, don't collect nothing. That's my friend. I ain't going to collect the evidence. That's my friend. That's my homeboy. That's my golfing buddy. In the end, the truth is going to come out. So it ain't going to matter about who owns a business, who's got a little bit of money in their pocket, in their bank account. Who knows who's fraternizing with whom. The government don't care. They come in with their big boots. They ain't worried about nobody in Hendersonville or outside of Hendersonville and nowhere else. They're there to solve a crime. They're there to get justice for a child. They're there to investigate. They don't care about the Proudfoots. They don't care about Mr. Rogers. They don't care who's related to whom. They don't care who's in law enforcement. They don't care. And it's time for everybody to get that out of their head, that these people are running that town. They might have a few co-conspirators, a few people rallying behind them, but there's people such as Queen who are woke, and we know better. And we know that shit only lasts for a little while.
X, Y, and Z. And if you don't follow under that, take a hike. Okay? The number one priority is not Twitter. It's not putting out, your YouTube video that's saying, hey, 10 minutes ago, I found this feather.
Woo! Say that.
Next to his windowsill.
Say that, honey.
6 months later, I think it's a clue.
Exactly.
No. Okay? One guy in charge tells you this is the way things are going to be. Now, things are so much different anymore because of social media and how the true crime genre is. It wasn't like this. Let's just go 40 years ago. You had somebody that was on scene that was in charge. It's called a lead detective. Now, the complications ran in when, okay, a private investigator is brought in, the medical examiner says this, the coroner says this, forensic pathologist says. Then see how then one of them says, well, I'm not so sure it was a gunshot wound. I think it was blunt force trauma. But the medical examiner says this. And see how things start getting muddy? But in this way, it's a good thing. You're working out for truth, for the victim. You're not doing it for social media clicks and likes.
Yeah. And
to try to feel like you're important. Now, when I was on Hunt for the Zodiac Killer on the History Channel,
I'm going to go fast forward through all that, get to the point of everything. Hold on. One head knocker, one PI, one person helping is what he's trying to say. If you're going to get other people involved, there needs to be only one person leading the team, and I agree. Because too many irons in the fire doesn't help, and we've seen that pertaining to Seth reaching out to people or people reaching out to him months ago trying to help. That turned into a major disaster. All these different entities coming from left and right, and next thing you know, all these people started arguing and bickering and accusing this one of that one. And I knew then, I said, this is not going to work out. It's bad enough he and the mother and the stepfather are not on the same page. They don't talk. They're running to YouTube talking bad about the child. He's upset. He's running to court TV. They're playing crazy old Nancy Grace like they're 5 years old. It's just a big, hot mess. And even now, it's still more drama. with this new information of Oregon, this Ford's Pond, this woman saying she saw the couple there back in March of 2024. Don't know if that's the truth or not. This New York Canadian connection. Don't know what that's all about. It goes back to what this man is saying. A feather on the windowsill. Oh, I think this has something to do with Sebastian. Found a pair of pants. Remember somebody crying and moaning about they found a mattress and they found this. Shit that's irrelevant. Because in the end, you don't know where he is. So you can't say what you saw and what you found is relevant. You don't know where he is. You don't know if he's alive. You don't know if he's dead. You don't know if he's in Hendersonville, the Hendersonville area, West Tennessee, East Tennessee. Could be in Memphis. Could be anywhere. St. Louis, state of Missouri, Kentucky. We have states that neighbor us. We neighbor North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. He could be anywhere, alive or deceased. That's the point. So when you go running around like this man is saying, jumping around like you're looking for him, and oh, I found this, and I think it's related to the case, and it looks ridiculous. And frankly, I get tired of hearing it, and I tell you, please don't bring that mess over here, because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear nothing about what somebody found, what they saw, because that's all people have been doing is repeating BS. And it's the same with the Summer Wells case. I heard this. I saw this. Pookie saw this. I heard a scream. I saw a red truck. And then, guess what? It's years later, the child is still missing. That's the point. You don't even know what's real and what's not, because you don't even know if you can believe the sources that are bringing you the information. And it's just like what this man is saying. It looks like people are just doing the shit for attention, doing it for likes and views, getting their little money on, and keep it moving. And I'm with him on this, going live, pretending you're searching for the kid and driving your car down the highway. It's like, what's the point? Riding your car down an open highway, does that make any sense? Walking through, looking at rocks and trails and rivers and ponds. I don't know. Could he be here? Jump back in your car, drive down the street, jump back out the car. Could he be here? Come on now, really? This foolishness needs to stop.
It makes me feel even better. And as a Christian, that's what I want to do, is I want to help people. That's why I entertained the offer of helping Sebastian Rogers' family. Of course I'll help. I'm not going to tell you no. But you have to look at all these other things and see what's happening. And when I did that, I wasn't happy with it. Wasn't very comfortable with it. So, hey, Mike, I will still help in that case. And I hope that the family knows that. I just don't think it would be as involved or as intense as it should have been, unless, I still leave the door open. If you have one person in charge that's working with the police, giving information to them as you're finding it out, and not everybody running amok, maybe I would still entertain that offer. But it's just the new true crime stuff is
it's disgusting. Horrible. It is horrible. I'm going to stop right there. Feel free to check out his content, Unsolved No More. I will admit, I agree with most of what he has said in this commentary, that the true crime community is vile because we are vile. See, that's the thing people don't understand. Everything is given a title, such as this place here, Pond Loop Path. Somebody gave that a name. It isn't nothing but ground, trees, water. It's only going to be a problem until you put man on top of it. That's when you have a problem. So it doesn't matter if it's this pond, the path, a trail, a schoolhouse, a building, Facebook, Twitter. It doesn't have any growth. It doesn't have any validity. It doesn't have any value without a human being. And this case is a prime example of how things can get sadly, sorely out of control, with people inviting themselves in, people immersing themselves, people involved in the case don't know which way to go. They're aloof. They're not being truthful. They're being deceptive. Maybe being honest. But it's too many irons in the fire. And as you see with the case of the young boy that went missing out in Texas, and he was found in the drainage sewer, his case is a prime example of what you do and don't do. His parents were exemplary. They did not feed into Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, YouTube. They didn't go to YouTube. They didn't come to social media bickering with people. They didn't get on YouTube and arguing with people about what they've said about their son, them, whomever. They talked to the news. They were very polite. They seemed concerned about their son up until allegedly the remains were found in the drainage. That's how you're supposed to behave. That's how you're supposed to behave. As this man is saying, you don't feed into the masses. You don't feed into the rhetoric, the drama. You don't bring drama. You don't start drama. But like I've always said, people who act like this, it's because this is how they behave beforehand. So it really shouldn't be any surprise that you have this chaos from these entities involved in the case, because obviously they weren't getting along before the boy went missing. So they help aid the foolishness. You can't put it all off on the people out here in the street, because it's what you allow. And what's the old saying? You teach people how to treat you? Exactly. You bring foolishness to the table, foolishness will follow suit. Common sense. You act a donkey's ass, well, here comes some more donkeys. It's just the way it is. You sending a message to the universe. I want chaos. I love chaos. Well, chaos comes. It heard its name. It's like what we say about the devil. He heard you call him, and he answered. So you can't get mad at these crazy nuts and wackos out here. You summon them. You got to own that. That's why I said everybody has to own their part they play in talking about true crime, being involved in true crime, whether you're a detective, a PI, you're a parent, a mother, a cousin, a neighbor. You got to own your part. Because you can't sheepishly lay back in the cut when the shit hits the fan and act like you weren't participating when you know you were. So when you ran to YouTube with a version of a story, you were part of it. You didn't tell the whole truth on YouTube, you're a part of it. You spread lies, you're a part of it. You go from chat to chat spreading lies, you're a part of it. You're a content holder spreading lies, you're a part of it. Own your part. Own your part. This place, Ford's Pond in Oregon, is where a woman claims she accidentally met the Proudfoots. Is it true? Is there a connection with the Proudfoots in Oregon that has relevance to the disappearance of their son? What is the relevance? Because if you're saying I saw them there, then now if the detectives care to go talk to them, what is their answer going to be? Why they would be there? Is there some type of proof from credit card receipts, purchases, bank statements to put these people in this city, town, area, and why were they there if they weren't there? So Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot, I'm going to ask you, were you there in this Sutherland, Oregon visiting? And what were you doing there? And why would you be there a month after your child went missing? Why would you be way out on the Pacific Northwest doing what exactly? What is your connection to the Canadian border in New York? Do they have something on you up there that's related to the case? Because I can't see that it's both, that it's New York and Oregon. I don't see how. I'm not about to believe somebody drove way to New York to drop off a weapon and drove way to Oregon to dump a body, or vice versa. It wouldn't make any sense. So what is the connection that this high task force pertaining to Dog, the bounty hunter, what do they have? Allegedly, it's 2 people involved in the case. So many people are speculating it's the Proudfoots because there's only 3 people that are the parents. Mr. Seth isn't married to anybody, isn't dating anyone at the time of the child's disappearance, so that leaves him and the Proudfoots. Unless it's somebody else related to either the Proudfoots or Mr. Seth. Take your pick. This case is shameful. It's eerily similar to the Summer Wells case. A bunch of rhetoric and gossip, meddling. Meddling got that reward fund shut down for summer. Money dispersed to other local organizations who possibly needed the money, but we wanted to have money for that kid. And now there's not even a reward fund for summer. And nobody would even think to dredge up one now because they'd be afraid that there'd be a problem with the money standing in an account for just her. But this is what happens when people meddle in things that don't concern them. We had a busy bee from the UK who decided she wanted to make phone calls over here to the United States, local offices and banks about fraudulent fundraising. And that's what caused Summer Wells not to have a damn reward fund. See, this is what this man is talking about in his commentary, this excessive meddling. People jumping in a story that they don't have a dog in the race. They don't know the victim. They don't know the parents. They don't know nothing. And that's what's so bad about the true crime community is that everybody's not in it for the right reason. The people who are watching the content, commenting, they're not in it for the right reason. They're scouring articles and jumping from chat to chat and panel to panel, exacerbating the situation and making it just as worse. That's why I said everybody has to own the part that they play. A lot of you are not in it for the right reasons. And I agree with this man saying, if you're going to hire somebody to come in, you need to hire one person to do the job. You need to try to work with the person cohesively. You need to have other people on board that say they want to help, that they are genuinely trying to help, not meddle, not keep up chaos, not stir the pot, not do any backstabbing. And also you as a parent, you have to also play your part and act like you're damn concerned. Because it doesn't help if you're not in it for the right reasons either. Maybe it's true. All the parents are hard to work with. That could actually be a problem. Because if you are difficult to work with as the parent, how are you going to get help? You don't want anybody to give a suggestion, then you have no business out here seeking help. And then people are going to start to wonder and look at you sideways. Are you really trying to find your child? I do find it interesting that the Proudfoots reached out to this man. I'm still questioning their motives, why they would reach out to him, due to their behavior on YouTube and how they have shown no care or respect for the boy child. What would be the point of reaching out to this man? And what would be sad, as I said before, they reached out to him and they are the culprits behind his disappearance, Sebastian Rogers. You would have misled this man and sent him on a wild goose chase knowing you are behind the disappearance of the boy. So now that all this has unfolded with this content he's brought to YouTube, has he heard of this new information about the Oregon, New York, Canadian connection? And how does this man feel, this detective, about somebody in the case being out in Oregon 1 month after the child went missing? I wonder if he will touch on that. Once again, how does law enforcement feel about this new information? Do they agree, disagree? Are they checking on it? Are they verifying any type of information coming from the Pacific Northwest from this woman? Are they making phone calls out there to hear what she said, the report she gave? Was she accurate about the people she saw and talked to? Were the Proudfoots at this Ford's Pond? And if they were, what were they doing out there? And not in Tennessee trying to find their child. We are in the month of November. Next month, this child would have a birthday. And so far, he is nowhere to be found. And as you heard in this commentary, the detective says with this situation, he believes the child is not alive. Hate to say that, as he said, but that's his personal opinion. And many of us feel the same. Some of us, rather, don't believe the child is alive. But as I said before, I'm not a detective. I'm not a TBI agent. I'm not investigating the case. I'm just going by what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, and also by statistics, such as what this detective said in his commentary. The stats don't lie. And also the behavior from all parents. It don't look good. And then you look at the timeline. It's almost a year. Then you look at the fact that law enforcement hasn't brought any updates since April. That's too long. What do they have? What don't they have? Have they exhausted all measures? Have they checked everything in the house thoroughly, outside the house? Have they dumped all phones, all devices, GPS tracking on cars, cell phones, iPads, security cameras in the neighborhood, security cameras in their own house, outside of their house, existent, non-existent? Have they done a thorough job investigating this case? Many people don't think that law enforcement has, but like I said, you got to have proof before accusing them of not doing their job properly. Will people drop the ball? Of course, because a lot of people are not prepared for this type of investigation. If you don't get a lot of murders and disappearances, you don't know really where to start because you don't have the expertise. And that's where the victim will be failed, because there are not people working the case in the beginning to do the job accurately. And that could be a hindrance, naturally. And things get trampled on, moved, removed, cleaned up, washed, thrown away. And we ask that as well. Was anything removed, thrown away, washed up, cleared out? Carpet removed, bedding removed, paint, new paint job. You got to ask all those questions. And he mentioned that as well in his commentary. The house is where you need to be looking. Inside, outside. Was it thoroughly scrutinized? November 2024. No new updates. This is sad, because this child deserves so much more than what he has gotten, and possibly what he received while visible. It's a joke, right? It's really a joke. It's a sad and pathetic joke. And it's sad when you see people immersing themselves in these cases and they don't take it serious. And they think it's all fun and games, but you're not the one missing. And God forbid the child is not alive. You thinking the worst thing that could happen to a human to be unalive. And you're not in that person's shoes. And none of us want to think that about him. But as I said before, dealing with Seth, if he has to reconcile the fact that his child is deceased, he also has to reconcile that somebody unalived the child. And that, as someone said in the chat yesterday, he trusted that person or persons to do right by his child, and they did not, and they failed him miserably. That's a hell of a burden to carry around. And as you see, he's the only one shedding tears for his son publicly. Now, some can say, well, everybody don't grieve in public. Well, if you can get on social media and argue with people, you can get on social media and pretend to be people with different profiles in the chat, which has been alleged about Mr. Proudfoot. You can get up on panels and talk about everything from ice cream cones to soda pops and talk ill about the boy and his bathroom habits. You most definitely can grieve in public, because that's what you should have been doing, is crying for your child. pleading for your child to come home, pleading for information to the child's whereabouts. That's what a caring parent does. You show you care. So miss me with this, I don't want to talk BS. You can talk to everybody else. You can gossip about everybody else and everything else, but you can't grieve for the child publicly. I have a problem with that. Because these people cannot say that they are shy. No way. And as my daddy would say, you pick and choose what you do. Exactly. And that's what these people have done. They have chosen what they want to do. And that is not to rally for the child publicly. And I have a problem with that. Because you only get one life. There's no do-over. There's no dress rehearsal. This is it. And if you can douse a person with gasoline and they're not visible, you're telling me you doused them with gasoline. Sorry for Sebastian. No matter what has happened to him. I feel truly, truly sad for him. That he only knew the world that was introduced to him. And it's no telling how he was really treated behind closed doors. But he probably pushed on because what options did he have? He did like most children. They suck it up. Alive, as I said before, if he is alive, you don't have any guarantee that he's in good hands. Then you pray for the child to go home. Okay, then which home is he going to? See, this is why I always say you have to be careful what you ask for and what you pray for. He's alive, and who is he with? How are they treating him? If he's recovered, where is he going? Definitely don't want him going back to that mom and steppa. Hell no. Hell no. Is this a hoax with this information? Is somebody trying to mislead detectives, investigators, or whoever is working this case, TBI? Has TBI gotten this information? Are they working on this information that Dog the Bounty Hunter has uncovered? Or are they moving past it and not paying attention, don't care to listen to it, think it's a farce? It'd be nice to hear something. Yes, we've assessed the situation. Yes, we've heard about the situation. We're looking into this information, or we're not looking into this information. It'd be nice to hear. And it'd also be nice to hear an update where the investigation stands, what leads they have and don't have. Because like they say, if you don't have anything, it'd still be nice for you to just tell us something. And sadly, if they don't have anything, that's even worse. That's my commentary. If you want to check out the information that was played during this live stream, Unsolved No More is the man's network. I don't know where this case is going. I don't even know what to believe at this point. But one thing I'm not is a fool. And I'm not following everything that's being said and repeated, because we've seen what has happened in the past several months pertaining to his disappearance of I saw, I heard, I found this, and you see where that went. That went nowhere. So I view this new information the same. I'm leery because I see what people are doing out here, and it's just for show and for attention and to pump their egos. And it's unfair to the child. Who was not there? Well, nobody said anything about Seth being there. Why would Seth be with them in Oregon? That don't make any sense. Well, Sebastian couldn't have been with them because allegedly he wouldn't have been alive in March. It would assume that he's deceased. And that's the point. We don't know if he's alive. We don't know if he's deceased. And that's the whole point. If they're alive and the child was alive, wouldn't the person say, oh yeah, I saw a kid there with them that fits his description? That's why I'm not banking on any of this information. It's not to be rude to Dog the Bounty Hunter and his team and investigators, but we've been on the road already of he said, she said, and finally somebody allegedly finding pants, eyewear, and all of that nonsense. And as this man said here, people jumping out of helicopters and drones with, I'm trying to find them, I'm driving down a lonely road, I'm over here in a creek, a pond, a this. It's all nonsense. And it's time for people to stop. It's disrespectful to the boy. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. Follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app where I get similar commentary. Check my shorts in the YouTube queue pertaining to Puff Daddy, this case, and other breaking news. Also go to my community page to take the polls pertaining to Sebastian and this new information. And also the situation with the Alpha Genesis lab in South Carolina of the monkeys being on loose. One was recovered over the weekend. Don't know if another one or more have been recovered. I'll bring you an update if there have been a recovery of more of the primates. This is the latest developments pertaining to Sebastian. Don't know if they're relevant or factual, but this is just what's been said. As I said, I really don't like repeating he said, she said from other networks and content, because I have not gone in to look at anything on X or Facebook or anything like that, because I don't care to. As this man said, everybody don't have that kind of time to, indulge in the hopping around. And once you have talked about a case for 7-8 months, it's kind of redundant once you see it's not going anywhere with the information. So you're leery about, trying to pass information from any source, whether the people, project themselves as legitimate. You still don't know what they're talking about and what's the truth. So in the end, I just don't want to be promoting anything that don't have a receipt. And I don't know these people that are working with Dog. I don't know Dog the Bounty Hunter. I don't know his team. I don't know this lady out in Oregon, who she is, where she came from. I don't know her from a can of paint. So I don't know what is the truth. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful week. I will be back with more stimulating content. I may go live later with some true story information. And we will see what happens with this case if we get an update from law enforcement and what's going to unfold from this high task force that is working with Seth Rogers. There also was a vigil held. So far, he's holding on to hope that his child is alive. And so what I'd like to ask Mr. Seth, if he thinks his son is alive, where does he think his son is? Where does he think his son is? Why would his son be held without his knowledge somewhere? And who has his child? Those are the questions I have for Mr. Seth. Who, where, and why? And how long is this going to last if indeed the child is alive and held somewhere? That's my commentary. Thank you for joining me. You've been listening to the Vault XL.